Podcasting is a great way to share your ideas and connect with an audience, but it's not without its challenges. Whether you're just starting out or you've been podcasting for a while, it's important to avoid common mistakes that can hurt your podcast's growth and success. One of the most common mistakes new podcasters make is not having a clear target audience. Your target audience should be defined by demographics such as age, gender, location, and interests. Knowing your target audience will help you create content that appeals to them and attract more listeners. Another mistake podcasters make is not having a consistent release schedule. Consistency is key when it comes to building an audience. If your listeners don't know when to expect new episodes, they may lose interest and unsubscribe. Having a consistent release schedule will help you retain listeners and attract new ones. Another common mistake is not having a professional-sounding podcast. This includes having poor audio quality, not using a good microphone, or not editing the audio properly. Listening to a podcast with poor audio quality can be off-putting for listeners and may discourage them from continuing to listen to your podcast. Invest in good equipment and take the time to learn how to use it properly. Another mistake podcasters make is not promoting their podcast enough. Podcasts are not a build it and they will come type of medium. You need to actively promote your podcast in order to attract listeners. Use social media, email, and other marketing channels to promote your podcast and reach new listeners. Another mistake podcasters make is not having a good cover art for their podcast. The cover art is the first thing listeners see when they come across your podcast, and it can make or break their decision to listen to it. Make sure your cover art is high quality, visually appealing, and representative of your podcast's content. Another common mistake is not having a good show notes or transcriptions of their episodes. Show notes and transcriptions are great tools to help listeners find information about your podcast and episodes. They also help with SEO and make your podcast more accessible to people with hearing impairments. Another common mistake is not having a strong call to action at the end of episodes. A call to action can be anything from asking listeners to rate and review your podcast, to signing up for your newsletter or promoting your merchandise. A strong call to action can help to increase engagement and grow your audience. Another common mistake is not having guests on their podcast. Having guests on your podcast can help to increase the diversity of your content and attract new listeners who are interested in your guests. Make sure to research your guests and prepare good questions to ask them. Finally, one of the most common mistakes podcasters make is not measuring the success of their podcast. Without tracking metrics such as downloads, listenership, and engagement, it can be difficult to know what's working and what's not. Use tools such as Google Analytics and Apple Podcasts Connect to track your podcast's performance and make data-driven decisions. Podcasting can be a lot of fun and a great way to connect with an audience, but it's important to avoid these common mistakes in order to achieve success. By being aware of these mistakes and taking steps to avoid them, you can help your podcast grow and succeed. Remember to be consistent, promote your podcast, have a professional sound, have a good cover art and show notes, have guests, and measure your success.